guys, I was in the process of editing this video and I forgot that I intended on putting in here, and I've been putting it in the description, that I am looking for vintage model kits. I don't have a lot of money to spend on them, but if you guys know of anybody who's getting rid of some, or if you have anything laying around you don't need, I would like to have them, or at least know who to get in contact with to ask them about them. I just developed this, I guess, small passion to try and collect some of these kits and hang on to them for a while. So anyway, this is just a little add-on as I'm editing this, and I hope you guys can maybe help me out some here and find some of these people or know some of these people who have some of this stuff. Thank you. Hey everybody, Mike Fifer with Fifer Hobby Supply again. You tired of seeing me? I'm tired of seeing me. But you're probably not tired of seeing me, or maybe you are. I don't know. It's irrelevant. Anyway, we're going to do the ACT3 Update 51. And I'm going to tell you that during this, we're probably going to have some blinking of the lights, which may affect the camera. We've had a problem with our incoming electricity from El Paso Electric Company. We had a transformer blow up on the pole back here, and they came and rerouted us from a different area in the neighborhood, and they've got too many houses on there right now. They've got a plan to fix it. But anyway, I'm just telling you, we may experience some flashy lights here, which are going to affect the video, but not how stupid I am. So anyways, here we go, update 51. Hope you enjoy it. And here's Robin and Miss Emma. Miss Emma got a bath today.
Yep. She looks beautiful.
She looks beautiful, and she's gonna, when she gets dry, she's gonna look all fuzzy.
Look like a teddy bear.
Look like a teddy bear. Okay, as far as the layout goes, per se, I haven't done anything railroad related on the layout since the last time you guys saw the ice dock. I have been running a couple of trains, few trains, the same old ones out here running. I haven't got around to swapping anything out. You guys are probably getting bored of seeing this one. I've got some GP20s I'm working on to hopefully run with my GP30s. I haven't messed with them in years, so I've had to lube them, take them apart, fix some decoders and things like that. But that's neither here nor there. Today, what we're going to talk about, I'm going to rehash a couple of things and give you guys some suggestions and how I did it, because I don't know how long ago I covered it, probably when I started this layout. But I'm going to deal with fascia, okay? Everybody has their own way. My way is bending masonite, but we'll go over that when I get the camera dismounted here. We'll go back and talk about my little addition there and how I accomplished that, kind of rehash that over again, so that all this fascia stuff is compiled in this video 51. So let's get on with it. Okay, first things first. Like I say, I use masonite that is smooth on one side and rough on the other side. It makes it easier to bend. If you get tempered masonite that's smooth on both sides, it's a little harder to bend. It wants to break as opposed to bend. So I prefer the masonite that has the rough finish on the back. This little extension that I made, you guys probably saw how I did that because it was relatively recently. I made a template out of cardboard that I cut there. And then I took the cardboard, transferred that to the masonite, and cut a piece of masonite, and I hot glued that up. That's why it has no screws in it, because it's hot glued directly to some foam, Woodland Scenics sheet foam for roadbed and houses and buildings and stuff. Was glued to the foam risers first, and then the masonite was glued to that foam. On the layout itself, what I do is I generally cut a piece of masonite taller than what I think it needs to be, and regardless of how tall that is, it doesn't matter, whatever you think you're going to need. You can see this back piece was probably cut real tall because I knew I was going to have a mountain there. So then when I get the masonite up there, I just draw a line on the masonite, and then I prefer to build my scenery up to it. If you already have scenery done and you're going to put a backdrop up, make the backdrop higher than your scenery and just go along with a felt tip pen and generally mark it out which is going to make it a little bit taller than your fascia needs to be, but then you can just blend your scenery right up to the masonite. There's any number of ways of doing it. I do the masonite first. So anyway, it's on here, and when I come down here and I have any doubt, I just make an irregular edge along here, okay? That will just become my ground level. It doesn't matter what it looks like, it's just that it's uneven all along, and that's the way ground is. So that's what I have all along, and you can see that I seam it together where I need to seam it together. If there happens to not be a stringer there, I will just put a 2x4 behind there or a 1x4, and I will screw the two pieces right to the flat 1x4. Going around, when I do bend these angles, these curves, what I generally do is I wet the back of it. I've gone over this in previous videos, but I usually take a sponge, or if I'm real energetic, I'll go out with the hose, lay it in the driveway, and just hose the masonite right on the back side, right where I want to make the bend. And then I let it sit there for about 10 or 15 minutes with the water on it, and I try not to wet it too far beyond where I want to bend it. And allow that to soak into the masonite for a little while, and then when you bring it in here, generally you can bend it right around the corner, have your screws ready, and know where your screws are going to go, and go ahead and what I do is I bring it in here straight, push it back a little bit into this corner, get this screw started, then I go ahead and push it back in the corner where it needs to be, then I will attach the other screw. And that just makes a nice sweeping bend. And then I bring the scenery up to it. It makes it so much easier to do fascia, in my opinion, to do that fascia before you do the scenery and bring the scenery up to the fascia, as opposed to doing the fascia to the scenery. And there's times that I've taken scenery out and I've had to recut edge and stuff like that, and it just becomes very easy to do. So that's my method of doing fascia. Next we'll go into what I do after that. Okay, after my fascia is on, I generally go back and cut holes for things like my main on-off switch. I figure out where on the layout I'm going to need throttle pockets, and in this case they're centered pretty much as I could center them on the middle of the yard so that we can reach each end. I put a plug down at that end. I cut a hole for a UP5 at that end, in my case with Digitrax, and we plug it in there. Anything else that needs to be done. In this particular instance, you guys saw how I made these shelves underneath here. Then I had to take this piece of masonite it was as deep as this piece of masonite here. So what I did is I had to cut it out so I could reach in here. So I made a paper template, and I went through here and marked this where I needed to cut out, took the fascia off, and even if you take a curve off, if you've let it sit there for 2 or 3 days, it's going to pretty well hold that curve, and you've already got your holes where they need to be to screw it back up there. So it's easy to get down, easy to put back up. Okay? Anyway, so I took it down, made all those cuts, and put it back up. That was the next thing I did. Then I had to make this piece, which was straight down here, match. So as opposed to taking this piece down, I just got out my jigsaw and my my shop vac. I hold the shop vac near where I'm sawing, and I just cut that at what I needed to cut it at. Then I give it a little bit of sanding to smooth it up so that it transitions from that level down to the bottom level, and I just go around the layout. I don't get too hung up on making sure that the bottom of my fascia here, oh, there's my tripod. My fascia here is the same as level as the fascia over here. I much rather have it look like it's level. And as you can see, I had to here it doesn't look level at all because I had to kind of cut this down because I had some wood down here that showed. So I had to make a little adjustment in my fascia over here. That piece of drape is in the way, but you can see where I had to lower it down because my 1x4 back behind there showed, so I had to lower it down a little bit. But anyway, we can make changes and adjustments to it as we do it. That's the beauty of using the masonite, and it's cheap. So if you make the masonite large enough, you can do whatever you want to with it. I suppose if you were real anal about it and you wanted the whole bottom to be flush all the way around, you could get a laser level, set it up in here, make your fascia wider, use the laser level, make a mark on it, cut it so it's perfectly level with the floor. I don't do that. It's too much work for me, and I don't have a laser level, and I'm not going to buy one. So anyways, I also can make changes. I took this piece off here and had to recut it when I put the, it was up a ways because I had this hill came around here. Had to cut that down so that my station fit in there, and then brought it out, spaced it out, and reconnected it here to make a little more room there. There's all kinds of things you can do with it after the fact. Now, talking about things after the fact, I prefer, or not prefer, but I just discovered that if I have a piece of fascia and I cut a hole where it shouldn't be, or I got a flaw in the masonite or something, I don't take it down and get another piece of masonite and redo it. This is what I do. I get tiles, or I get something that you want to put on the layout that means something to you. And of course I collect horny toads, and I live in the Southwest, so I have red and green chilies, obviously. And I have this Santa Fe badge, and I have the Zia down there. That could easily be a Pennsylvania flag. It could be anything. But if you make an error, say, and none of these are covering errors, but they could be. Say you cut your UP5 hole in the wrong place, and you decided, gee, that's not where I need it. I need it over here. Well, then you come over here, you cut a hole for your UP5, you go back and find some kind of little tile or decoration or something, and just adhere it to the front of the fascia. I don't see a lot of people doing this. I don't know why. I kind of like to add a little color as I go around. You guys know the story on that tile there, I believe. It was on my mother-in-law's oven forever. So anyways, you can make masonite into whatever you want it to be, is what I'm saying. Now I'm going to show you the stuff that you've already been looking at and tell you what I'm doing today. Okay, you guys have already seen how I recessed my push buttons here. I just kind of got tired of the gap around them and all that. So I think I explained in a couple of the previous videos that what I'm doing is filling in with spackling, and then I'm going and sanding these off. I don't know how smooth they'll even look at that, but they'll be better than they were. Now you can see that I have pretty much done these. All I need to go back in and do is go back in and repaint these, if I can get all that out. This one I put in by mistake, so it's just staying for right now until I need it for something. You can see that I put the spackling around these. It doesn't matter how you doesn't matter how you glob the spackling on, because it's very easy to sand. When I sand this one, I will probably remove these two screws. When I sand these over here, I'll remove the holder. It just makes it easier. Besides that, I've got to paint it anyway, and if I do that, I can use a roller except around my tiles. So that's what I'm in the process of now. And you can see that when I put the spackling on there, I get spackling, maybe you can see, I get spackling inside the hole. That's easily removed by just scraping it out with your finger, because it doesn't like to stick to the plastic very well, which is a good thing. I will remove panels here to sand that one, and as you can see, I have worked on this one, which wasn't done last time. This one needs to be sanded, and I've got a whole bunch of them around the layout that need to be sanded. That being said, and you know that those are all held in with hot glue on the back, and I had some trouble keeping them in place. So I went around all of them and put super glue in there, and let me swing you back around without making you sick, hopefully. You can see, I believe you can see, the light area around here. That's where the super glue is, okay? And you can see where the super glue is not, because that's where the spackling went into. So I'm hoping that this looks pretty good and pretty flat and kind of all blends in when I get done. We'll see how this turns out, and I will come back out and finish up this video at that point. Aside from that, I don't have much else to tell you about the fascia and how I do fascia. We'll just see how this method turns out, and that when I come back out and get it, hopefully I can get these sanded and painted today, and we can get back out here and see how this looks. Okay, one more time. I just want to make sure you guys are clear. I hold my shop vac up here with it on, and then I work with this sanding block over that hole. That keeps a lot of dust from accumulating in the room. In fact, I got a train running while I'm doing it. So you try and eliminate as much dust as you can. You don't want to do this without sucking this stuff up, because this dust in here will be all over the place. Look like somebody came in your train room and threw a bag of flour into a ceiling fan. So try and remember this tip. Okay, so I don't have my throttles back in, but here's what we wound up with. And I think it looks a little more finished than it did before. I like it. Some of the paint isn't totally dry. Let me step over here and swing around. Yeah, I haven't put my re-railer back, nor my Rick's pick. I'm not putting the throttles back until I'm sure the paint's dry. I don't want the throttles to stick to the paint. But anyway, looking down it, I think it turned out pretty well. So I'm happy with that, and with that, that's probably it for today. Okay, everybody, hope you enjoyed update 51, and as usual, thanks for watching.